And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Starting tonight with public participation and recognition. We're recognizing the Works Award for Excellent in Education, and Ms. Cheryl Negative representing.
Good evening. I'm Cheryl McEnany, Cheryl Mack to most of you. I'm part of Dekalb Education Foundation and chair of the Works Award Committee, also the Scholarship Committee. We just finished reading those. Each year, the Works Foundation presents the Works Award for Excellence in Education. The Words Award was established in 1989 to honor the memory of Wilbur Wirtz, Alpha White Wirtz, and Jean Sonner Wirtz, all of whom were educators in Dekalb. Ms. Marion Conde contacted the Wirtz family members in 1988 and raised money to set aside for staff recognition through the Dekalb Education Foundation. Ms. Conde passed away in 2007. The Wirtz Award is intended to encourage those high standards of innovative achievement that brings quality to a public school system and vitality to a community. It is made available annually to recognize the distinguished service of outstanding individuals who raise young people's sights or promote a program or organization that fits students' sense of human values and purpose. Selection of the Wirtz Award was made from persons nominated by Dekalb 428 staff and was based upon the nominee's ability to positively influence, motivate, and inspire students. Wirtz committee members are Mary Lynn Buckner, Lori Alicia Piper, Anika Good, Jenny Huber, Billy M., Pam Hickens, Connie Roman, Tim Vincent, and myself. We strive to have a committee of community members, educators, and people that know the people nominated as well as those that may not. We'd also like to thank Jenny Huber's office and Mary Ann Bueller, as well as Melissa for all of their assistance in getting everything out to everyone. The 2018 nominees for the Wirtz Award for Excellence in Education are Kelly Boyle, special educator at DHS. She cannot be here tonight. James, is he here?
Nope, I'm here.
Okay, would you mind taking that?
Yep.
All right. Another nominee is Ashley Carlson, who is tutoring a student for his big test tomorrow. And so Connie Roman has her award. So applause for Becky Maslin, 6th grade math educator. This is kind of special because she started Bar Food Mart with me.
You started it, you just brought me along.
Thank you. Andrea Mitchell, principal at Tyler Elementary School. And last but not least, Deb Krowitz, 1st grade educator at Brooks. So this is not in my usual thing to say, but I would like principals to make a big deal about this in their school sometime. I know you're a little busy between now and the end of the school year, but if you can make a big deal. And then people with certificates, I would just push your kids' stuff off of the fridge if we were even the Ollie calendar can go off to the side. This is a print-worthy, certificate. Okay. On April 9th, I had the pleasure of going into Travis Erickson's classroom with his principal, and we surprised him with balloons and his certificate. And then there was, not a corsage, but there was something for him to wear around his neck. Glitter may or may not have been involved. He was greeted by spontaneous applause by his students. He is the 29th honoree of the Wirtz Award, and his name will go up on the master plaque at the Education Center. So I would like you to honor our 2018 Wirtz Award recipient, music educator at Dekalb High School, Travis Erickson. That I would cash on your way to school tomorrow. Dekalb is so lucky to have these educators, and we're so lucky to have them, but even more luckier are the kids that they work with. So thank you again.
The Board of Education will recognize DHS Band Director and Fine Arts Coordinator Steve Lundy for receiving a 2018 Excellence in Education Award from the Dekalb County Community Foundation. Steve has taught for 14 years, 11 of which have been in Dekalb. He teaches marching band, jazz ensemble, lab jazz, percussion ensemble, and steel band, and serves as the Fine Arts Area Coordinator for Dekalb High School. Steve exemplifies Dekalb County's best teachers, and the board is pleased to celebrate his leadership, hard work, and dedication to the students and staff of Dekalb School District. Next, we have recognition of 20-year service awards.
We would like to honor all of our Dekalb staff who have 20 years of service with our district. So we'll be calling each name, and if present, you're invited to come greet the board, and then we'll make it for you. So we'll start with Rebecca Banta, Special Education. Amy Bowers, Teaching Assistant DHS. Joan Boyce, Kindergarten Teacher at Little John. Jennifer Brock, 5th grade teacher at Malta. Groves, head cook at middle school. Jennifer Harrison, English language arts teacher. Susan Platt, library media assistant at DHS. Wendy Curlew, office professional, education. Caroline Fairgreen, teaching assistant at HSS. like to take a few moments to recognize our retirees for this year. I believe we have 3 here tonight. We would like to acknowledge all those that are retired this year. We have Ellen Kresh, 4th grade teacher at Portland. Marilyn Peter. Greg Gunderson, science teacher at DHS. Billy M., 3rd grade teacher at Lincoln. Kathleen Owen, transitional bilingual, early education teacher. And Patricia Pearson, instructional assistant at Jefferson. We would now like to open the floor up to the audience. If you have any words that you would like to share with us in honor of our retirees.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andre Williams. I am the parent of Zachariah Dubner Schools in your class. And had I known that I would have met you and seen you tonight at this service, I would have brought the teddy bear that he had for you. Begged me to go take him to go and get yesterday. And I just wanted to thank you for a very exceptional job that you have done with my son with I mean, everywhere from behavior modifications to educating him properly, and the way that you have taught him. And it saddens me to know that you won't be there for Adriana, who's going into 3rd grade.
She tells me every day.
But thank you so much, Mr. Emmett. It was an honor to meet and to know you, and I'm pretty sure that God most definitely has a plan for your life.
Well,
Stand here and talk about Billy for just a moment. I only recently got to know Billy in the last 3 years, and he is an exceptional teacher. He puts his heart into his work every day. He has laughter that's happening out with his students, and sitting out there and watching kids play on the playground, interacting with them, giving them the care and love that they need every day. It's just wonderful to see. And I will always take with me when you serenaded me with the accordion last year with the 3rd grade class for my birthday, and I got my hat and my bear, and it was a very touching and memorable moment. So you have touched my life along with all the students that you have educated the last 40 years. So thank you for your service.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to just say thank you to Rebecca Becky Maxwell, who has fought the good fight for many years. I have had the pleasure of being an administrator in the same building with her for 4 years. And long before coming to Huntley, I had heard about, Becky Maxwell. And I remember one of my first interactions with her, she was really sticking up for the teachers. And I remember thinking, who is this lady? How can I get to know her? It's a wonderful district that we can work in where we have such passionate teachers. So many students have benefited from her education because she is always seeking education. It is so funny because I was talking to students and did you know that Mrs. Maxwell was in school? I said, yeah, she's in school now. They said, no, she's taking classes now. And to have a 6th grade student have that conversation with you, it really is just a way of what she has done for so many students, allowing them to know that education does not end when the school bell rings. And so I'm extremely proud to say that I have worked with you. And I am extremely proud to say, I joked with her before that I love working with you. And I said, you know, if my son had you in 6th grade for math, I wouldn't have spent all that money on tutors for math. So again, congratulations, Becky. Hats off to you. I hope you enjoy your retirement.
I have to speak on behalf of Patty Pearson. Patty, I had the honor of being the principal at Jefferson School when Patty was and continues to be at Jefferson. And I can tell you this about Patty. First of all, she is a professional through and through. With all of her students, she learned them, their strengths, where they needed support, and made sure that they had the support that they needed. And then on top of all of that, you were a mother to so many. And I'm thankful for all your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
For taking
Actually going to piggyback off of Christine. I'm the current principal at Jefferson, and I will tell you that I don't know if I would have made it through this year without Patty to A, tell me how Jefferson works, and B, to tell me what I was doing wrong, which is great, which I was grateful for. You know, I mean, I can always count on Patty to tell me what was going well and what we could work on. And when we talk about Patty being a mother to the kids, it is true. I'll never forget one of my very first lunch periods at Jefferson, and all of a sudden I hear singing. And Patty's got the kids, she's walking backwards down the hallway, and the kindergartners are singing, "Go Cubs, go." And just listening to them, and you know, there's not a day that goes by. She's currently out with some medical issues, but coming back to us next week. And not a day goes by where the kids don't ask, when's Miss Pearson coming back? So it will be from doing recess duty to greeting kids on Ridge. She's loved by all and will be missed by all. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Right. I'm going to ask just a couple questions, and some of you will catch on very quickly if you know the Charles Schultz philosophy. How many of you can name 5 of the last Nobel Peace Prize winners? Barry?
No.
It was. Or how about the last 5 most valuable players in the NFL? Have you sung? Or you know, the last 5 best actor, best actress. Maybe about up here? Okay. How many of you can remember who your 3rd grade teacher was? How many of you can remember a teacher, coach, advisor who made an impact and changed the journey of your life? So for our 20-year veterans, for our teachers who are retiring, congratulations. Please know you've made a difference in somebody's life, in many kids' lives, because we know that it's a tough profession. It's hard, but at the end of the day, we were called to this for a reason. And please know, as your career wraps up and you're off to do whatever is next, that there are children out there that they're thinking about you and the impact that you had on their life. And you know, at the end of the Schultz philosophy, it says it doesn't matter how much money we have, it doesn't matter the size of the house we lived in, how many things we had. What matters is that we were important in the life of the child. And as educators, that's what we do every day. So I want to say thank you for all of you and all that you've done, and all of our teachers here who work every day with our kids. But to our retiring teachers, thank you and best of luck to you.
Next, we have public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. We have cards. First, we have Andre Williams, in importance of education.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, for those who don't know me, my name is Andre Williams. I am the 19th precinct committee person here in Dekalb, and also the chairman for the events committee with the Dekalb County Democrats. And I remember last year with the issue of hiring investigators to make sure that children were living in the district. I also recall back when Dekalb was a sundown town. I didn't live here at the time, but I can just imagine what it's like to be taught something during the daytime, but then forced out to go live somewhere else to have to deal with things. Education is very important. I challenged the school board to offer a history class as opposed to spending money on trying to hire some investigators. There's other things that could be used with the funds for that. That's of high importance. Last year I challenged them to get air conditioners in Lincoln Elementary, where kids can learn in a more comfortable setting. I have 2 children that go to Lincoln, and they were attending there last year as well as this year as well. And I just feel that there should be more of a awareness of the education process than there is in spending money on something that is completely unnecessary. They have school buses that take children who don't live in the district home and bring them to school or out of school. My children, we're right at the borderline of them not being able to big bus to school. We're within a mile from both schools, from Huntley and from Lincoln. So we're not able to have our children bused because we're in the school district. However, just a block over will be considered out of the school district. Just 1 block over. So what about the school buses? So what does this say to them, their budget and the things that they need? So I would just ask that the school board just really take a real big look at that and considering furthering education instead of harming and putting parents in situations where they really don't want to be in, because I couldn't fathom the idea of someone following one of my children home against my will. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have David Becker, and this is a response to the Jade Doe lawsuit.
Thank you. And before I begin, I also want to just express my appreciation to the educators who were recognized here tonight. Thank you. I live here in Dekalb, and I have two students who graduated from Dekalb High School, one who's a student here now and a grandson at Little John. And I want to express my strong disagreement with ideas that were forwarded in the J. Doe lawsuit and my disappointment in this school board in the way that it's responded to that lawsuit so far. I urge this board to conduct a very thorough, to revisit and redo a cost-benefit analysis of those ideas that have been proposed by J. Doe, because I believe that an analysis of the true financial costs of surveillance and expulsion of students will show that there's no cost savings to the district's fixed costs, but there is a loss in revenues. But above and beyond that, beyond the financial cost, what is the true cost to a child, a family, a neighborhood where a child is under surveillance and people don't know if that's the police, if it's ICE, or if it's a crime in progress? What is the true cost to a student or a classroom or their learning environment when a friend or a classmate is made to feel unwelcome or asked to leave? What is the true impact to our school district, our community, and the cost in trust and relationships and community building and in safety? A true cost analysis will show that J. Doe's proposals are unnecessary and unethical and reflects poorly on our district, on our school board, and our community. And so I urge this board to instruct its legal counsel to put every effort into dismissing this misguided lawsuit. And I urge the board to end any contracts with organizations that conduct student surveillance. Thank you.
Next we have Kurt Rubin, and he would like to speak on student resident contract.
I'm going to make a fairly strong statement. I had a discussion before the meeting with one of the board members, and if some of that information was more available at an earlier time, I probably would have toned down my statement, but it is what I really feel. So I'm going to read the statement that I have prepared. I should like to address problems created by the school board's authorizing a disturbing and divisive study on the residents of students. Procedural problems have been present from the very initiation of the study. Months ago, the board convened a special meeting apparently to approve a contract for the study. After citizens protested, the board deferred this precipitous action. The board is now having the study done obscured by a veil of secrecy, hiding behind attorney-client privilege. Acting in this matter discredits the board, belies the vital principles that the actions of the public sector should be transparent to citizens, increases tensions within the community, and calls into question the fairness of the study. The study has seriously tainted the reputation of the school board, at the same time increasing tensions within the community. At the very least, to restore a modicum of credibility before acting on the study, the board should have the study's methods and statistics vetted by academic experts, hopefully those from NIU. The results of the vetting must be made public along with the content of the entire study. I thank you.
Next is Bill Moore, and this is verifying students' residency.
My dear schoolmasters, this is indeed a teachable moment for our community. The issue of the student residency requirements has been under consideration by this board. It's been suggested by a number of people who are competent about the finances that this will not save you any money. It is suggested that it would need 20% of the population of the school members population would have to exist. Over 600 people would have to be found before there could even be a beginning of some savings. And so, as was suggested, we need you to truly investigate the finances that are involved here. For some of us, and it's growing to be more than I was realized, that they see that this issue is really a bogus issue. It is an issue of community social disruption. Thank you.
Next, we have board committee reports and correspondence.
This changes the subject, but I want to thank my friend, Mr. H. from Little John School, for arranging and work that he did in relation to Day of the Child is called. A celebration in which I had the joy of being a food judge. And that was an experience, and I know all the board members were invited to do that. I highly recommend that even if you don't speak any Spanish, as I don't, go anyway. The food is just something that is being prepared by parents and is very, very worthwhile. But what we get in this community is just amazing. So thank you. Pass the word to those others in responsibility.
I got something to share. Lisa, was it last Thursday or the week before the spring sing?
Yeah, week before.
The week before I went to the spring sing for the LDC. It was great. It was awesome. I don't know how many kids they got out there, but they practically filled that gym up. I can tell you that at the old high school. Those amazing shows, a lot of fun to watch. So congratulations to you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Christine?
I wanted to announce that today is Deaf Can Do Day. And at Clinton Rosette Middle School today, there was a wonderful collaboration between our deaf and hard of hearing program students and all the other students in that 7th grade group that worked together to put together, they decorated pots, planted flowers, and then delivered those gifts to our nearby nursing homes. What a wonderful community service and a collaboration. I just want to say thank you again to our board for supporting our deaf and hard of hearing programming, moving it here to DeKalb. I can honestly say that that small program has made a huge impact on all the students at Clinton Rosette Middle School. And just so you know, this is Mr. Vincent's sign name.
You gotta tell me that before we leave.
Thank you, Christine. Anyone else?
Yeah, Victoria, I have two reports. One from the insurance committee, which met very recently, and heard from Blue Cross Blue Shield on the statistics of our program with them, and a great deal of information. Wow, if you're a mathematician, you probably would have liked it. You know, it was quite involved, or could be as involved as you wanted it to be. They gave us a nice little binder with all the statistics. So that was great to hear from them and to understand better what we might look at going forward. Also, I went to yesterday, the Diversity Planning Committee meeting, and that plan is just about finished. It will come to us, I think it's on the 15th, is that right, for information? And so that plan then would be online, I suppose, on Friday before the meeting. We did bring up a number of different subjects, and to make it clear that I have not been involved in this thing through its entirety, except for the last 3 meetings. So I'm beginning to get a sense of how they did it and what it contains and so on. And we talked a little bit, it's amazing how much you try to get done in an hour and a half, but they've done quite a lot of work on this, that's for sure. And so now the board will have a chance to look at the plan as they recommend, you know, and see what is doable and so on, and come back to them. One of the things I want to mention tonight is that I brought up toward the end of the discussions is a response. They have a plan to how to roll this out to the community, you know, aside from the fact that at some point, you know, we'll have a document, I'm sure, that's published. But also I said, well, what will we do for response to people from the community ask the questions about the plan and so on. And so they're thinking about that. They have some ideas. So that's something else that will be continuing to be worked on.
Jenny, could we possibly, board members see that prior to that Friday? Just so that we're not trying to read it over a weekend?
We're ready to put it out, right?
As of next Tuesday, we'll be ready.
Thank you. That'll be very helpful.
No problem.
Sorry, to interrupt. Anything else?
Well, maybe I should just say, for the sake of those that might not know, the committee that was put together to do this plan drew from a larger group of about 30 people, I think, Jenny, is that right? And those ideas were brought to the committee, which is 8 to 10 people, including a couple of parents, Jenny and several people from the district administration, building principals, Andrea Mitchell. Myself, Howard has been on the committee. And then, of course, our two consultants, Dr. Cohen and Dr. Adams, who have guided the committee along. So I just wanted to make mention of the makeup of that committee so that you know how what you will eventually see was brought forward.
Thank you, Carrie. Anybody else? Next, we have presentations, and this is proposal for benchmarking and progress monitoring system, and this is an informational item.
All right. Good evening. My name is Dr. Amy Luckner. I'm here to present a proposal for a new benchmarking and progress monitoring system. I apologize, this is kind of behind you, so hopefully you can see it. It's a pretty brief presentation. Basically, why do we need to change systems? The current system that we use is called AIMSweb 1.0, and it is being discontinued. So we need a new system regardless to provide two key things. What AIMSweb does for us is it provides a universal benchmarking. And so it allows us to screen all of our students in K-5 in reading and math to help us identify which students might need more support and which students might need more enrichment so that we can help all of our students grow. It also provides us an opportunity to monitor students' progress. So those students who are getting extra support based on the screening information and other information that we have, we want to make sure that that support is working for those students. And so the measures embedded in a benchmarking and progress monitoring system allows us then to monitor their progress more frequently to make sure that what we're doing is working for those students. So those are the two key features that a benchmarking and progress monitoring system provides us. So together with the district school psychologists, we started last spring because we knew this was coming up to review different options that we might have to replace AIMSweb 1.0. And we came up with two kind of top options that we would consider. One is kind of the next derivation of AIMSweb. It's called AIMSweb Plus. It's actually, though, a pretty new program. So instead of just being an update of AIMSweb, it actually is similar to having a new program. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of that in a second. The other option that we considered is, or that came to the top, is the FAST system, the Formative Assessment System for Teachers, and that's from Fast Ridge Learning. So what I'm going to talk to you about briefly is some of the comparisons of these two and then the recommendation that the team made. Because the recommendation possibly includes a change in vendor, that's why we're bringing it to the board for information and then for action in 2 weeks. So some of the things that we look for in a benchmarking or progress monitoring system, one is to make sure that it has the tools we need to meet those needs of the system. So does it have our benchmarking and progress monitoring measures? And you'll see both systems do have our reading and math measures. They both have made great strides in having reading comprehension measures. So we're excited about that. That allows us to assess broader reading skills than just reading fluency. They both have social, emotional, behavioral screeners and progress monitoring available. For AIMSweb Plus, it's an additional fee.
For FAST, it's included in our subscription for with the other measures. And they both have Spanish measures available, which is important for us for looking at our students who are in our bilingual programs. The AimsWeb Plus Spanish measures are translations from the English measures. The FAST Spanish measures are authentic Spanish text, and they do have more different types of Spanish measures available. The measure development, so AimsWeb became a Pearson product a couple years ago. So their measurement comes from Pearson. They have one research consultant on their team. FAST comes out actually as a chief scientific officer who was part of the creation of the company. And he is a researcher at the University of Minnesota. That's Dr. Ted Chris. And he's still involved in development. And they also have direct partnerships with researchers who are in the process of kind of on the cutting edge of the research in this area at multiple universities. Both have user-friendly reports. And in both cases, no historical data would be available. So we have always stayed with AimsWeb 1.0 because we have a history of 12 plus years of data in that system that allows us to see how students have grown since they've come to us. How has our district grown and changed? So unfortunately, in either case, we do lose that part of it. Both have measures, most measures are administered online, so the usability is good. The support, in general, our experience with AimsWeb is since it has become a Pearson product, the knowledge of their customer support service tends to be lower than we would hope. Whereas the FAST customer support, our experience so far and what we've heard from other districts who use FAST have commented on the knowledge of their customer support. And then the cost feature. So right now, AimsWeb 1.0, we pay $6.50 per student. It's already in our budget. And so AimsWeb Plus would kind of, as part of their loyalty program, it would keep us at that cost for the first year. We have heard that it would then go up after that year. So new customers for AimsWeb Plus are paying $8.50 a student. We've heard it might go as high as $10, but at this point, that's rumor that has not been substantiated. But it came from someone from Pearson who gave us that information. The other piece of that is that the SDQ, which is our current social emotional measure that we use, would still be a cost because the social emotional measure is not embedded in AimsWeb Plus cost. FAST is $7 per student and would stay that way. And we would no longer need to pay for the SDQ because we'd be able to use the embedded social emotional measure that's part of the program. There will be training needs either way because AimsWeb Plus is they've made so many changes we would need to do training. So there's some kind of outlines of the training costs as well. And so together, either of these programs meet our basic needs for a program, but the recommendation the team made was to transition to FAST, from Fast Bridge Learning. There's no inherent benefits to staying with AimsWeb, and FAST shows some benefits in terms of having more appropriate Spanish measures with the authentic text. Also that there's a social emotional behavior measure included, and the development is more directly tied to research. Yes?
I have a question. Can you go back to last week?
Yeah, of course.
Self-paced options. Do we have a current read on how many people are in the program that we're going with now are self-paced?
So the self-paced options for training are that there's kind of webinars online that you can take. Now the FAST has a pretty extensive program for self-paced options, and you go through and you become certified once you reach a certain level. In talking with our rep for that company, he says some districts do all their training that way. And so they've been able to use that system to learn everything. I think it would depend on the needs of our district and our individuals. I certainly think many of the people in our district, such as the psychologists or people who are used to these kinds of things already, we've been doing it for a while, could start with that and then maybe supplement as needed with some other options too, especially I think the online option. I'm not certain that we would need on-site training because we have a pretty good team of people here that could provide that.
And that on-site training includes all the people at the time that we are, all the instructors, all the people that are doing this?
I believe the on-site training, I have right here. It's 1 day for 30 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many people do you think are involved in it?
So our rollout plan is that the first year, so typically with benchmarking, what happens is each building has a team that provides, that does the benchmarking and progress monitoring. Because we're switching to a new system either way, the first year, our team of psychologists across the district will provide, we call it schooling. We go in and do that for the schools the first year while they're learning the new system. So the first year would be the 9 school psychologists and myself, who would need the most training, and then our special education staff and our reading specialists who do the progress monitoring would also need training, and then our administrators as well, because they're learning how to use the reports. Yeah, so that would be, for the on-site training, I would still think though we would only need 1 on-site training, if any, because that group of 30 would be the people who would then,
Core people that be trained.
right, they'd be the train-the-trainer model. So they would be those who become experts in their building with administering and reading the reports.
Yeah, Amy, I've got a question. I'm concerned about the loss of the data over the last 10 or 12 years.
We all are.
Isn't there some way, I mean, you don't really lose the data, but.
We don't. So we have it, there's a couple of ways that we have been working generally in developing kind of data dashboards for our district. So there is a system coming out from the state called Ed 360. And so that is a data dashboard the state is providing. And they are working on different templates to allow you to upload your district data there. And so they have a template right now for MAP, which is one of our other assessments that we use. I believe they're working on one for AimsWeb. So that would allow us to still have historical data. When you pulled up your classroom or your students, you could see that information. But we certainly have it in terms of in spreadsheets and so forth.
Right.
We have all that
the raw
information.
data is there, but you can't access it
Right,
easily.
and so it becomes less
So this
useful.
really surprises me because this is the whole point of this kind of work.
It
Is
really
to be
is.
able to track and improve.
Yeah.
So why do these companies not understand that? In the states now involved? I mean,
Right. Well, the interesting thing about so what I hear from Pearson is that they've made such significant changes and improvements in their measures that the historical data doesn't match anymore. So they're using different kind of measures. But in general, I do think that was a real, my personal thought would be that's a disadvantage moving forward. It's an opportunity for us because it allows us to look at some different options. But it's a disadvantage, I think, from AimsWeb because no one has their historical data anymore.
And if I may interject,
Yeah.
we unfortunately, we run into this time and time again.
Yeah.
We went from the old PSAT,
The Explorer?
Yeah, we went from Explorer Plan ACT to now we're with the SAT, PSAT. We at one time we moved to PAR. So all of our old data that data was just not good anymore. So, if we continue to change the assessments that we're using, not only locally but statewide, unfortunately we lose that longitudinal data. And to your point, that's what it is. We don't have all of that data to go back and look at and look for trends. But again, AimsWeb, unfortunately, because they were bought out by Pearson, Pearson is a very large player in the assessment game. Now that Pearson has AimsWeb, they're just changing the whole thing.
So it is a real, it's very unfortunate.
But according to your slide, it's both companies actually that don't have a way.
So Pat, we will develop, either one that we go with, we will develop new historical data. So we're starting fresh with either one. And so we will, so I apologize, maybe I should have stated that more clearly, but we will, from now moving forward, have new historical data, but we will no longer have, the 12 years that we have. So typically the reason we would look at AimsWeb and continuing with them is that we would have our historical data and just build on it and continue to build on it. But it's now really, it's the same as if we're moving to a new system because it doesn't have that advantage. But once we get into the new system, they will then keep our data for us and we'll be able to develop our district norms and so forth. So they will develop for us historical data, it's just that we're starting at ground zero in both cases.
Well, what can education do with respect to, trying to convince these companies that they ought to be doing something about the formatting change continuously, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you take music as an analog, an example, right? So first it was vinyl, then it was cassettes, then it was 8 tracks, and then it was, CDs, and now it's memory sticks. I mean, but there's always a way to move the music, the information, from one format or material to the next. And that's not even like, it's important to society, but I mean, as an analogy against the education exists so that we can train and teach people, and it's much more difficult to do it if we can't bring the data forward. I mean, it's not like we have to just, there was, Noah's flood and the face of the earth was gone, and now we have to start over again. I mean,
But keep in mind that these companies, whether it's Ames Web, whether it's FAST, whether it's MAP, whether it's the College Board, not all of them, but most of them are for-profit businesses.
Yeah.
So they're not really,
well,
I mean, we're using them to assess and create that longitudinal data. However, that's not their purpose. Their purpose is to make money.
Well, sure, but we give them money, right? I
know,
mean, that's my point,
but
is
we're
that.
gonna continue to have to evolve as they evolve, because, we don't have any assessments that are staying tried and true, where we can track 15, 20 years of data.
Yeah.
With the exception of ACT, I mean, but even ACT, they adjust their norms, and MAP just changed when they realigned to the Common Core just a few years ago.
So part of it is they're trying to be responsive to changes in education.
Yeah.
But part of it is that, companies have multiple goals, as you're talking about, Jamie. And I think that's why part of our recommendation is to go with FAST, is that that's a company that's not coming from the assessment world, it's coming from the research world. And they saw the need that they want to have good products that we can continue to use moving forward. Yes, definitely long term. The other piece of it, I think, too, will be that there will still be ways that we can connect our data. It's just less seamless than if we had, the same assessments. So we will be able to kind of extract some of, like you said, what the essence of it is and look across time. But we always then now have to have the caveat, but here's when it changed, or, being able to be careful about that piece of it.
It reminds me of when we changed our accounting system, from one type to the other, right? And then we had to do an adjustment. And for a couple of 3 years there, Andrea or Cindy would keep on, she says, stop talking. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Amy.
Yes, well, I appreciate your question. So the recommendation was reviewed by the MTSS committee, which is like the curriculum council for the intervention side. And so we would come back for an action item in 2 weeks then.
Okay, do we have a consensus to bring this back?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the non-business consent agenda. That the Board of Education approve the non-business consent agenda items A through E.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
At our closed session, we had some indication that some of the things we were planning for item B may not be done yet. Are we still going to move ahead with that, or should we look at taking this off?
For item B, item B is complete.
Item B is complete?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other? Roll call, please.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Jerry Malak.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Next, we have the business consent agenda. And this is that the Board of Education approve the purchase order requisition list as attached. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Jeff Albrecht.
Yes.
Jerry Malak.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Next is business and finance. request to purchase Chromebooks for curriculum technology initiative, and request for quote to lease one-to-one devices. This is an action item. That the Board of Education approve the purchase of 1,500 Chromebooks at a total cost of $607,500, and allow administration to obtain requests for quotes to lease the devices over a period of 3 to 4 years. Do we have a motion?
So move. Second.
Discussion?
Just in general, we're going to try to lease these rather than own them? Is that?
We lease them with dollar buyout at the end, in which case we do own them at the end. Because after that 4 years of ROI, we end up going into carts as replacements for loaners.
Okay, so we do have ownership of the units by the time we're done with it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Chair Black,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Alburn.
Yes.
Next, we have requests for one-time increase to the technology budget for fiscal year 2018-19 to purchase data center equipment. This is an action item. That the Board of Education approve the one-time increase to the technology budget for fiscal year 2018-2019 of $120,000 and an additional reoccurring $50,000 to support the data center infrastructure moving forward. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I just want to briefly say this was a discussion item at our last meeting, and Ben made very clear that this was a cost savings, that this was, even though it involves an expense, it seems fairly, I mean, it's a noteworthy expense, but that this is a cost savings, and in the end, it saves the district.
I'd like to ask Ben to give a real brief summary of the major pieces of equipment that are being considered within this.
Yeah, sure. It's blade-like infrastructure. So basically, we're looking at 6 servers that would be being put in place, and then the old server equipment would be taken out of a production standpoint, since it's reached its 7-year return on investment, and we're kind of bookended on the older equipment, both from a support perspective as well as being able to install any new software on it.
With the old equipment coming out, are we doing anything in regard to recycling or being able to dispose of old electronics?
So we're actually going to see if we can use that as a test bed for things before we put it into production as its primary usage. And then once it's reached its capacity at that point, yes, it'll be recycled. We also examine the possibility of reselling that equipment and see if we could get any revenue generated towards this purchase, but there was not any takers. So for us, it's going to be a test bed, and yes, once it's done, we recycle tons of electronic equipment annually. So it'll be recycled along with that to keep it out of landfills.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Alburn,
Yes.
Chair Black,
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes. Next is summer food service program for 2018, and this is an informational item.
I just wanted to come forward and let the board know about an agreement we're entering into with the Voluntary Action Center in regards to allowing them to use our Huntley Middle School kitchen for the 2nd year in a row to prepare lunches for several summer camp programs that service not only our students, but other students in DeKalb County. Those include Camp Power, Camp Discover, the YMCA camps, Maple Leaf, and some other ones. Last year, they prepared over 30,000 meals and distributed them at our Huntley Middle School kitchen. We are able to serve their needs from June 4th through August 8th, which is a majority of the season outside of our school year. So again, we're offering that area to them this summer, no cost, as a partnership as we enter the summer season.
Tammy, do you anticipate any wear and tear on the product that we have available now?
No, not at all. It's more, they store food and equipment there in our freezers or refrigerators, And then it's not cooking a food, it's cold stack lunches that they're preparing, packaging, and then a delivery truck picking up and driving them out to the different camps. They provide their own dumpsters, so there's not additional garbage services that we need to provide. It's truly a matter of turning on the lights and letting them use the space.
Tammy, liability issue, is this all covered under our normal insurance policy for that kind of thing?
It is. We have them fill out a facility rental agreement as well as provide insurance as with any outside groups that use our space.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Terrific. Sounds like a great program, Tammy.
Next, we have new business and administration, Judson University Corporation Education Partnership, and this is information.
Thank you. We were recently contacted by Judson University and invited to enter into a corporate partnership for education for staff. So in an effort for them to boost their enrollment and also provide some incentives for our workforce, they are offering the terms described in this agreement, which include education tuition discounts, as well as, of course, offering discounts and some training opportunities at no cost to the district, so we can partner together on various topics that can be offered to, especially some of our unaffiliated staff. So we began to discuss those opportunities with them. And the great thing about this partnership is that it's not exclusive to Judson, so this is something that we can hopefully mirror with other colleges and universities for other things for this information.
Questions?
I have a question. Do we have such an agreement with NIU?
Not my knowledge so far, so but there's nothing to prevent us from taking something very similar to this. We do have tuition waivers, a different program that's for hosting teacher candidates.
Great.
So.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a consensus to bring this back?
Yes. Thanks, Sarah.
Next, we have benefits broker consultant contract review for DLR Insurance Solutions and Business Solvers. This is an informational item.
Great, so we were here a couple weeks ago with the request to begin the contract development for Business Solvers and DLRIS, and we have those contracts prepared. They have been reviewed by council with some minor adjustments that have been made, and so they are available now for review. So we're submitting that information right now to solicit any questions over the next couple of weeks. We have invited and secured Doug from DLRIS to be in attendance on the 15th as well, where we will move these two contracts back for approval.
Questions?
I have a statement. I was there with Carrie at the insurance committee meeting when presentations were made from 3 different companies. DLR was one of them. The committee gave great some consideration to this matter, and in my absence at the committee meeting, Carrie was there. They made the decision to go with DLR. So a great deal of thought and effort was put into this by everybody. Thank you so much. As far as making a decision with this company, it was a considered decision.
Do we have a consensus then to bring this back at the May 15th meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have student services, TOSA, extra summer days, and this is an informational item.
Yes, good evening. One of our student service coordinators is a TOSA, or a teacher on special assignment. And each year I come to you because she, as a teacher on special assignment, follows the DCTA contract. Yet her responsibilities as a coordinator go outside of that contract during the summer for 20 days. She does 5 days after the school year gets out, after students are done, and she does 5 floaters during the summer and 10 days prior to the start of the year. So I'm coming to you to ask for permission for her contract to be extended those 20 days again.
Thank you, Christy.
We have a consensus to bring it back at the next meeting.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have approval of Title I district-wide plan for grades K through 8. And this is an action item that the Board of Education approve the Title I district-wide plan for grades K through 8. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Refresh us up. Can you do an elevator refreshment on what we're working with here? I mean, what we're,
So the plan just describes how the Title I dollars will be used to support interventions for curriculum. With Title I, we can also use some professional development dollars for that as well.
thank you very much.
All right, roll call.
Ray Davis.
Yes.
Jeff Albright.
Yes.
Karen Malak.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Howard Collins.
Yes.
Next, we have approval of school-wide Title I plans for elementary and middle schools. And this is an action item that the Board of Education approve the K-8 school-wide Title I plans as attached. Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Jeff Albright.
Yes.
Karen Malak.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Rick Smith. I'm sorry. Howard Collins.
Yes.
And Ray Davis.
Yes.
Next is approval of holiday parties recommendations, and this is an action item. That the Board of Education approve the changes proposed by Superintendent Craven for holiday parties. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Can we have a brief synopsis, because this is an issue that seems to reappear in the community?
Yes, the brief synopsis would be that we'll continue the PBIS celebrations. We will work to promote the traditional symbols in all of our buildings, being, including but not limited to Christmas trees, menorah, Kwanzaa rituals, poinsettias, wreaths, those symbols that would most represent the students in our community, in our buildings. Continue to have our non-holiday celebrations. Again, things that we already do, American Heritage Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month, multicultural family nights, and other celebrations that we're currently doing. So that if PBIS, or excuse me, PTA groups would like to have specific holiday evening events, of course, we're open to that as well.
Do we have a way, or will we have a way of possibly expanding this, where new faith communities that come into Dekalb may join in and have their symbols as displayed as others?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Jamie, we sent out a survey quite a little while ago now, and I presume that that had a part in how this was arrived at, this new policy. Could you explain a little bit about how you looked at that, and others in the district looked at that to arrive at this recommendation?
Well, looking at both the not only the parent survey, but the teacher and staff survey, and again, aligning this to, I think, the efforts of the district that we want to have all-inclusive events instead of events where we are excluding individuals. That was the motivation to keep the PBIS. Again, opening up to the PTA, PTOs, if they would like to have, specific holiday events, that our buildings are certainly available if they would like to organize those and hold those after school hours. And the concept that, we are such a culturally rich community that, this is a great opportunity for us to celebrate that and recognize that through the various, celebrations, traditions of our various groups. So that was really the motivation behind this recommendation.
Okay, thanks for explaining that.
Roll call.
Mary Malak,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Howard Zolman,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Alburn.
Yes.
And next, we have recommended revisions to Board of Education policies, first reading, and this is an informational item.
In the board packet are the most recent adopted or recommended Press Plus policies. We are switching formats now, they're going electronic, so they do look a little bit different in your packet. This quarter, we only had 5 updates, and most of them are the result of statutory and legislative changes, some reference changes that are noted. So if you have any questions between now and the next board meeting, please contact me. And before the next meeting, I'll send out another summary.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much for providing that, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Do we have a consensus then to bring this back as an action item?
Yes.
Okay, next we have adjourn sine day, and this is an action item that the Board of Education adjourns sine day. We have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Howard Zolman,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Alburn,
Yes.
Mary Malak,
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes. Next, we have nomination of President Pro Tem, and this is an action item. That the Board of Education appoint Superintendent Jamie Craven as President Pro Tem. It's an action item, so do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Roll call?
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Alburn,
Yes.
Mary Malak,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Howard Zolman.
Yes.
I believe we need to, okay, we already had roll calls, so we're good. Yes, I think we need to open this meeting and ask for a roll call, please.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Alburn,
Yes.
Mary Malak,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Delapena Hernandez, Rick Smith, Howard Zolman.
Yes.
All right, we are in this portion of the meeting for nomination and election of officers. At this point, nominations are now in order for the office of president.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to nominate Victoria Newport to be the president.
Ms. Newport, do you accept that nomination?
Yes.
I'd like to make a nomination. I'd like to stand as another candidate for president.
We have 2 candidates. Are there any other nominations for the office of president? Hearing none. Melissa, I'm going to ask that you make a roll call, and each member will vote with the name of Victoria Newport or Howard Sullivan.
Fred Davis,
Victoria Newport.
Jeff Alburn,
Victoria Newport.
Mary Malak,
Victoria Newport.
Victoria Newport,
Victoria Newport.
Howard Zolman.
Howard Sullivan.
4-1 for Victoria Newport.
Okay, we have a 4-1 vote for Victoria Newport. I will turn the meeting back over to you. Process.
Next, we will take up nominations are in order now for the vice president. Mr. Vice President. Do we have a nomination?
I nominate Fred Davis.
Do you accept the nomination?
I do.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. Roll call, please.
Fred Davis,
Fred Davis.
you can say yes.
Yes, sorry, that's weird.
Jeff Alburn,
Fred Davis.
Mary Malak,
Fred Davis.
Victoria Newport,
Fred Davis.
Howard Zolman.
Fred Davis.
Right, next we have the secretary, nominations for the secretary. Do we have any nominations at this time?
I nominate Carrie Malott.
Carrie, do you accept?
Yeah.
Do we have any other nominations? Roll call, please.
Jeff Alford,
Karen Malott.
Karen Malott,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Harry Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
With that, the meeting will be adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.